Since the beginning of the 21st century, globalization has led to a rapid increase in cross-border migration. At the same time, the attendant problem of human trafficking has become the focus of increasing concern in the international community. In 2000, UN members signed the Protocol to Prevent, Suppress, and Punish Trafficking in Persons, hoping that legislation, public education, training, and international cooperation would be effective in stopping the evils of human trafficking. Human trafficking refers to forcing people to sell sexual services or to work at exploitative wages or the recruitment of persons for such purposes, and the use of rape, coercion, threats, restraint, monitoring, deception, deliberate concealment of key information, improper exploitation of indebtedness, confiscation of important documents, exploitation of others' inability or ignorance of how to seek help or difficulty in seeking help, or other methods violating the wishes of the victim, to recruit, sell, detain, transport, transfer, receive, conceal, hide, act as a go-between for, or harbor domestic or foreign persons for the purpose of human trafficking. And all individuals under 18 years of age engaging in the sale of sexual services shall be regarded as victims. In recent years, with the growth and expansion of Taiwan's economy, illegal groups have engaged in smuggling or trafficking for profit, in the process seriously violating human rights, affecting public security, and damaging the country's international reputation. Some foreign women were compelled to sell sexual services to customers at small restaurants.
On average, each foreign worker has about 20,000 NT dollars deducted from his or her pay each month, an amount nearly equal to his or her total salary.
Most of the nation's human trafficking involves sexual exploitation or virtual slave labor. Victims are brought to Taiwan under the pretense of a false marriage or similar reasons, or workers are exploited by smugglers, intermediaries, or employers. According to authorities, there are also a small number of cases of Taiwanese women being taken to Japan to work in the sex industry.
Working to actively prevent human trafficking, on November 8, 2006, the Executive UN announced the Human Trafficking Prevention Action Plan, involving prevention, investigations, arrests and prosecutions, and protection. Comprising 25 crucial tasks, the full force of every department and agency is mobilized. Prevention. Emphasizing an increase in the general awareness of human trafficking, strengthening foreigners' awareness of their rights, and examining the current labor policies and systems for foreigners. Investigations, arrests, and prosecutions. Actively investigate human trafficking cases, give offenders the severest punishment possible, and strengthen interagency coordination, as well as implementing integrative prevention policies and a general mobilization for full-force prevention. Protection. Emphasizing suitable arrangements and safe locations for victims, ensuring personal safety, providing appropriate consultation and counseling, as well as exemptions from punishment and administrative penalties.
Many victims come from poor environments, and they hope to improve their family's livelihood by obtaining a higher-paying job. Under such circumstances, many of them are swindled by human trafficking offenders, or they are forced to come to Taiwan, and their plight in Taiwan often leaves them under the control of an offender who uses various methods to control them. The victims are often sold, and they bear the burden of a large debt.
We, the End Child Prostitution Association, were commissioned by the National Immigration Agency on August 30th last year to establish the first shelter ever in Taiwan specifically for victims of human trafficking. We emphasize a victim-centered service model, so we provide the most basic life-oriented care, including medical and psychological care. During this time, some of the victims need to testify in court too. We accompany them during this process. We have also observed the victim might have some experiences of being traumatized or injured quite severely, so they need counseling. We have helped several victims at the shelter in getting professional counseling.
Due to the circumstances they are in, they often feel afraid of Taiwanese society, police, and even the justice system. They are afraid to ask for help, thus they become more and more isolated. We assist victims chiefly in recovering their original physical and psychological state, establishing trust in Taiwan's justice system and professional social workers. At the same time, we must also protect the victims and keep them safe, avoiding a situation where the offender has a chance to take revenge on the victim or the victim's family. After the victim is mentally and physically stable, we begin the process of assisting our justice system with litigation and punishment against the offender.
Currently, the government is giving impetus to such work and places a lot of importance on guaranteeing the rights of the victim. Also, the government works to enhance measures of prevention, investigation, and arrest. Besides cooperating with NGOs, the government is also strengthening international cooperation, further perfecting prevention against human trafficking. We hope that the victims can assist in contacting NGOs abroad after they are physically and mentally prepared. If the NGOs of their own country can continue assisting them after returning home, then this process can become even more successful, especially when it can guarantee that these victims will never be the prey of human trafficking ever again.
To improve the protection of victims and prevent human trafficking, the Ministry of the Interior assembles all agencies, experts, scholars, and NGOs to research related issues, drafting the Human Trafficking Prevention and Control Act.
In November of 2008, the draft for the Human Trafficking Prevention Act was sent from the Executive Yuan to the Legislative Yuan for consideration. The third reading of the Human Trafficking Prevention Bill was completed on January 12, 2009, and the bill was enacted on June 1, 2009, implementing a guarantee for human rights.
This act includes a definition for human trafficking, the authority and responsibilities of various departmental directors, measures for protecting and keeping victims of human trafficking safe, special permission for victims of human trafficking to temporarily stay, reside, or apply for permanent residence in Taiwan, providing victims work permits, and confiscating assets of offenders to indemnify victims. The National Immigration Agency of the Ministry of the Interior, the supervisor of the Act, has deeper expectations.
Taiwan is a nation that places a lot of importance upon human rights and human trafficking. Sexual exploitation, labor exploitation, or even organ theft are all severe infringements upon human rights. So the Human Trafficking Prevention Act has a lot of special significance. Laws related to the prevention of human trafficking are fragmentarily seen scattered throughout related legislation. Therefore, during the process of formulating this piece of legislation, we hope to add effective norms concerning penalties and severe punishment. Also, we hope to make the protection of the victim a core principle of the legislation as well. Regarding appraisal, we also hope that our education and training will continue to improve in the future, allowing us to examine the victims in a unified fashion. At the same time, we hope to provide victims with certain incentives, allowing them to better assist investigative departments in their human trafficking investigations. During the entire legislative process, besides the executive departments proposing bills, NGOs also proposed their own versions, and at the same time, there was also a strong consensus among legislators. This legislation completed all 3 readings in the Legislative Yuan quite quickly.
One of the most distinguishing characteristics of the Human Trafficking Prevention Act is its stipulation concerning the severe punishment of offenders. For example, an offender found with an intention to obtain commercial gain using rape, coercion, or forcing people to work for relatively no pay faces up to 7 years of incarceration and must pay a fine of up to 5 million NT dollars. This legislation is expected to prevent human trafficking from happening. Another feature of the Human Trafficking Prevention Act is its protection of the victim. Besides arrangements for safety, protection, and counseling, the victim can also apply for indemnities as well as permanent residence and work permits. The average person's knowledge of human trafficking and related issues is actually still found to be lacking in many areas. Now, if such knowledge is increased, then our society's sympathy for victims will help as far as cultural sensitivity is concerned. We also have a lot of communication going on internationally, introducing some experiences from abroad into Taiwan, and also establishing a network to prevent this transnational human trafficking from continuing to spread. Currently, we are more actively involved in academic research on human trafficking, helping us and our government to better understand any issues which are related to human trafficking. Human trafficking is an issue the whole world must face together. Taiwan understands the international consensus on fighting human trafficking and has completed legislation. We will spare no efforts in preventing human trafficking, doing investigations, making arrests, and prosecuting offenders. We will unify, integrate, and coordinate all governmental departments and work closely with NGOs for the fastest results and greatest efficiency.
The work involved in preventing human trafficking still requires even more efforts from the executive agencies of every government, including local governments, as well as NGOs to work together. I believe that once we work together hand in hand, we will naturally see progress regarding the prevention of human trafficking. We hope that Taiwan can become a first-class nation when it comes to appraisals and comparisons concerning the prevention of human trafficking.
With implementation of the Human Trafficking Prevention Act, there will certainly be improvements in the overall behavior of people in Taiwan in this area, further improving Taiwan's international image.